there's something special about being able to sit across from someone because you can see their whole body length, the leg going back and forth, playing with their nails, that sort of thing. You can read them better. You see them. And it's as they're talking, sometimes you can feel them, your energy.
Yeah.
But when you're online, so I do telehealth therapy, now is you usually only see them from, like waist up possibly.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see some of those nonverbals that you would normally see in the office. And sometimes it's hard to read people within their environment. So I really do appreciate being in the office. There's some value, especially when you're meeting them for the first 1 or 2 sessions, when you're asking them some of the hard questions. We call it like a psychosocial, where we ask about your...
What's good, everybody? It's your man, Jamal.
It's your boy, Forte, from around the way. And we are here with the wonderful, beautiful Veronica Price. How you doing?
Fine. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So this is the first episode of Season 2 of Smooth Lies Podcast.
Yes, we are back. We're back.
Where's my camera?
And there's a lot of change in the season 2, so make sure you guys subscribe. You all like the episode. Tune in to us every week. As Forte said, we do have a guest, Veronica Price. Veronica, let the people know what you do for a living.
I talk to people all day. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I hear about your problems. I deal with a lot of anxiety, depression, ADHD, trauma, PTSD, grief and loss.
Now, what if you said that you talk to people? Do you like to be called a therapist?
I like to be called a clinical therapist.
Okay, so that's the professional term. Okay, gotcha.
Excuse me.
Yes.
To interject. Before we get into that, I would like to crack open this here Bel Air Rosé for in celebration of the season 2. Is that okay, man? Before we get into the thick of things?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. Kupawi.
Don't be scared now.
I just don't want to spill
But just don't fuzz it over here.
Whoa, there we go, everybody.
Okay, perfect.
I am not a licensed bartender. All right, now you can ask your question. I'll just do this.
Yeah, because that sounds like a toilet over there. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
So, where are you from? Are you from the city?
No, I'm from Worcester, Ohio.
Worcester. I thought it was always Worcester.
Well, people who are not from Worcester say Worcester. So I'm from Clan Country growing up. That's what we would say.
Yeah, I've heard stories of old Clan Country.
Now, what got you into therapy? Like, what was the green light for your career?
That's a good question. In undergrad, I don't know if you know Rodney King and O.J. Simpson, the trials were going on. And I was actually seeing a therapist at the time, and she wasn't of color. And we really couldn't relate. I wanted to unpack, all of the things that were happening with Rodney King being beaten. It was really big back in the 90s. He got pulled from a truck, and the police just started beating on him. So at any rate, I didn't want anyone to have that feeling of not seeing someone in the room, the therapy room, that didn't represent them and look like them.
I like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful that you thought that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know when I was growing up, I used to get in a lot of fights and stuff, at school, and the school counselor, was always down to me. Like they didn't relate to what I was going through. Like the questions weren't what I needed to hear, you know what I'm saying, or the proper questions, you know what I'm saying? Like growing up, like, where's this anger coming from? It was like, oh, I was just deemed a bad kid, you know what I'm saying? And they were predominantly white people, and they put me in this box, you know what I'm saying? So my question to you is there a way that I know every situation has its, intricate, process, but how do you go about approaching, the situation for, say it's a troubled youth like thyself, and I'm coming from Mount Vernon Avenue, you know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of traumatic stuff happen from gang violence and things like that, you know what I'm saying? My mother's father was a Black Panther, so, you know what I'm saying, I'm knowing what's going on, but how would you approach that? I'm fighting every day.
That's an excellent question. Excellent question. Let's see here. Well, actually, I'm also very sorry that happened to you, that the counselor did not listen to you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But if you were to come in and sit with me, I'd first just to get to know you a little bit about your background,
Yeah.
meet you where you're at. Maybe we might do something fun, or maybe listen to some songs that resonate within you. So I'd ask you, like, what is your favorite song? And we might play it in therapy to see what lyrics, that you may identify with. Really try to meet you where you're at. Or if you're an artist, possibly we may get some crayons out or even paint.
Yeah.
And you could express yourself that way. But it's really important to meet people where they're at, not just judge them, but give them a chance to speak. Let them know your story and really listen.
That's beautiful. I appreciate that.
Now I got a question for you, because I was doing my research. We hand selected you to be on Smooth Lies. I was doing some research, and I noticed that they said that there were roughly 190,000 therapists and in America, and with that being 75% of them are women, and then 3.9% of them were Black women. So how do you feel like being a Black woman in the therapist industry?
Oh, that's a good question too. It can go two ways.
We out here hitting you with this fire today.
It's thoughtful. So first, I'm blessed to be a Black woman and to be a therapist, that this is my path, so that I'm able to help others. Secondly, I feel like we should, as Black women, the few that we are, is be able to get together as professionals, uplift each other, motivate each other, and have events where we can reach back into the community, that so we're able to help others. People who want to possibly get in the field but maybe not know, because to become a licensed professional counselor, you have to go through 2 years of graduate school. So you get your master's degree, and then you have a practicum and internship. And that's a huge barrier, because you don't get paid for your practicum or internship a lot of times. So we have families, we can't afford to just stop and be able to spend 40 hours or 20 hours, what have you, completing the degree. So making opportunities, I would love to be able to have grants at one day, apply for grants that would open up the door for those single moms, or just those who are low income, could be able to pursue their master's degree.
Yeah.
Because there's just not enough of us.
That's true. And it's a certain type of love that you get from a Black woman, you know what I'm saying? It's a level of understanding. And I appreciate that the most.
Did I? I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. It was all about you.
Did I
man.
answer your question, Jamal?
Yeah, you did. You answered it for me, for the listeners. Hopefully that was something that they could take away from. Because one thing, like when I did this research, 192,000, that's not a big number for a career that caters to people that help others that are in need. So when I was like, wow, 192,000. And then I saw that the majority of them were women, but it's also a smaller field for the Black woman. So especially when you answered with the small percentage of us, getting together and figuring out how can we become bigger than 3.9%. So yeah, I definitely like that. With you also being a therapist, what sector are you in? I was looking online and I saw how there was like education, public, private.
So I'm in a private practice.
Okay.
I started off at community mental health, so helping just a variety of everyone, more those who have personality disorders such as bipolar, schizophreniform, maybe sometimes OCD. So dealing with a lot of that and substance abuse. But private practice, I see a lot more of just mood disorders, which would be your depression and anxiety.
Gotcha. Okay. You got some fire for her?
He's thinking. See.
Yes. What drives you to continue?
What drives me to continue? That's good. My little one, I have a little one, so I think she drives me to continue. Because when I'm with a client, she knows I'm with a client. You can't talk to me, don't knock on the door, do nothing. But it's beneficial for her. So as long as I'm doing this and showing her that it's okay to talk to other people. Because in the Black community, we grow up saying what stays in the house, got to stay. Whatever goes in the house stays in the house. But tell her that's not necessarily true. It's okay to seek help, whether that's a counselor, a teacher, even maybe a minister or something. But it's okay to speak up and use your words.
Does it ever get to a point where in your field and like, just in your career, that you're taking on all this stuff from multiple people from all walks of life. Does it ever get to a point where it may be too much for you at times? Like, do you have someone that you speak to?
Yes, that's a good question. I do. So most of us therapists, we're encouraged to see other therapists. So I actually have a therapist and an EMDR therapist. So EMDR is for trauma. That's emotional desensitization, memorization, I'm butchering EMDR, but we deal with trauma. So I have 2 therapists actually.
Oh, okay.
To help me out. But it's very important because we hear all of the things and it can get to be a bit much.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, I worked in an office, and so I would give myself 20 minutes on the way to pick up my daughter from school, and I allow myself to think about whatever it is the day. But as soon as I hit this particular mark, I would shut it off so that I could be present for the rest of the day, for the rest of the evening. So it's really, especially my faith helps me too, because it can be a bit much. So I like to pray with or, by myself about my clients. It helps to just...
release, exhale.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I know, because I worked at Lutheran Social Services as an engagement specialist, and like I could not, a lot of times I would take work home, providing for the homeless and things like that, just being a friend to most of them. And it was like, dang, dude, I got to learn how to cut it off. And like, I never gave myself 20 minutes. I just learned something today. Like, give yourself 20 minutes. I appreciate that. I'm gonna be so rough on you sometimes.
Hey, don't act like big uncle.
Nephew.
But so you were, I'm sorry, but you were talking about the pandemic. I know the pandemic was a big effect on a lot of people as far as regular work, career choices, college, so on and so on. With the pandemic being for so long, I believe it was like about 2 years or so. What changed as far as in your day to day, and do you also feel like the impact like switched from you being like front, person to person versus like I know some therapists are now on Zoom, so
Sorry about that. Good question. That's a lot. Okay.
we doing our homework. You know what I mean?
I'm like, do I need to pick A, B, C? So the first one, the pandemic, it has changed. Because I said before, I was in the office. There's something special about being able to sit across from someone because you can see their whole body length, the leg going back and forth, playing with their nails, that sort of thing. You can read them better. You see them. And it's as they're talking, sometimes you can feel them, your energy.
Yeah.
But when you're online, so I do telehealth therapy, now is you usually only see them from, like waist up possibly.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see some of those nonverbals that you would normally see in the office. And sometimes it's hard to read people within their environment. So I really do appreciate being in the office. There's some value, especially when you're meeting them for the first 1 or 2 sessions, when you're asking them some of the hard questions. We call it like a psychosocial, where we ask about your family, your education, if you have any friends, et cetera, your hobbies. Just kind of get in your business just a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's really good, helpful if you're in front, face to face. You had a little bit more to your question, too.
That was
It's the Bel Air.
It's the Bel Air.
Yeah, I think I appreciate, like I get that 110% because I do a lot of business. And it's better to be in the room with the person that you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm unpacking my life to you, like, you know what I'm saying? We know that, the COVID situation was really
19.
Yeah, you gotta say certain ways. Yeah, it's really tough. But just that in-person connection is like the vibrational stuff, and just the body language is big for me. You know what I'm saying? You sign $1 million deal and the guys and they're like, it's kind of, so I get it. So I have another question. All right. So we went from Rodney King and the OJ trial. It impacted you to go into this field, correct?
Correct, because I had a therapist at the time that I was seeing, and I wanted to unpack and talk about what I was experiencing, seeing kind of like how we see George Floyd. It was all of that thing how we have now, with Black Lives Matter. I wanted to unpack. I needed to talk about those things.
I was about to get into my question. So you already had a therapist at the point, at that time.
Yes.
were you encouraged to have a therapist before that happened? So was it just
No.
you just went and?
Yeah, I just went, just life.
Because that's powerful, because a lot of people out here in the world, they're not willing to take initiative and accountability to go do those type of things. I just wanted to give you a salute to that, because I wanted to know where that come from. Like, you know what I mean? Just to even like, oh, I'm going to go see a therapist.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good. And actually, it's maybe like 2% to 5%. Most people, they will make a call to see a therapist, but they won't actually follow through. But it's hard. You know, it takes so much energy to actually do it. But it's only like 2 to 5% that actually follow through and actually come into the office after they've made that first call.
Yeah. Your question, my
No, you
my
actually,
apology.
it's so crazy. Like, we were on some telepathy at the moment.
Amen.
Because that's what I was basically going to ask. I just didn't have the backstory.
I love you too, bro.
Yeah, so I'm like,
Yeah, like I'm
for sure. So what else do I have for you? Me and the guys, we were brainstorming like topics and questions to ask you for today. Now, with us being Black men and Black women, from how many years have you been in the therapist game?
Less than a decade.
Okay, so less than a decade. What have you learned from our community? For the people that come in, and then also not just come in and get serviced by you, but what are the things that on the outside you observe as a therapist? You know, because you can't get to everybody. But what would be some things that you've learned?
Goodness, that we are a strong people. I know we say that all the time, but we truly are. I'm actually currently reading a book by Isabella Wickerson. It's called The Warmth of Other Suns, and it talks about the Great Migration of say African Americans up to the north and all that they endured to be here. And just listening to it just shows me how strong and how, like, if we want something, we'll get it, we'll go committed. And that the world, those who are not of color, they try, but we just have that determination.
Right.
We have that determination. But the community in general, I feel that we need to support each other. We really do need to support, especially when it comes to our mental health, and even our physical health. You know, growing up, I'd see people and they say, "Oh, he has sugar." I had a cousin who died at 18. He had diabetes, but we didn't know. We never talked about the issues in the family. Had we talked about it, we would have known. Oh, his grandpa had diabetes and his dad had diabetes. And we could have changed. So similarly with mental health, is a lot of times we use derogatory terms. We say, "Oh, they're just crazy." Well, no, they may be bipolar, or they're lazy. You know, they can't concentrate and focus. They're ADHD. Truly, there's something more to it. Instead of labeling each other with these negative things that usually come from the outside, we need to really be able to investigate and talk to each other and see who has this, who has that, what have you, and find a safe place to actually unload and talk about these things.
Definitely.
And more free clinics, forums. Even like the barbershop having, something, maybe, barbershop talk with a therapist, the guys come in and shoot the breeze, that sort of thing. But we definitely need to have more forums where people see that it's okay to talk and to share, that you're not weak in sharing what's going on with you.
Because that's the narrative a lot of times. Like, man, you want to talk. Like, I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm trying to open up. Like, your conversation may help me in the long run. Just sometimes, it's active listening, just listening and just great conversation. It changes a lot. Just have someone that can hear you and listen to you. Not necessarily give you points or anything like that, but just to hear you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that helps a lot. It helped me a lot. And I usually go to my dad. That's my therapist, my rock, man. Shout out Pops. You know what time it is, AD. You know what I'm saying? That's the big guy, man. But it's very important. I was actually, so I dabble in the poetry field, and one of my artists, by the name of Jacob the Poet, he
Shoot.
Yeah, me and him have a lot of personal conversations, and he talks about he has a therapist and how much it helped him, and like he encourages me to go seek therapy now, because a lot of times you think that you got it all figured out, but even having this conversation with you is like, man, I gotta go talk to somebody, just get a deeper understanding of myself first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you, definitely. It wasn't a question, it's more of a thank you.
I appreciate it, though. I feel like it's hard even for Black males to see a therapist. there's not a lot of black males. You gave us a statistic before about the percentage of women who are therapists. It's even smaller
Yeah, I noticed
for
that.
males, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
It's very small. So again, it's just bringing that awareness that it's okay to seek help.
Yes.
And having the funding, et cetera, for that people can pursue their education after a bachelor's to go in and get a master's and be able to do the requirements.
Yeah.
What was where did you get your confidence from to like step into your career? Like, I know you said the Rodney King, the George Floyd situations, but what made you take that first step? Like, yo, I'm about to go to college, work on a therapy degree, become a therapist. You know, because a lot of times what happens is that, especially in the black community, we think that the only possible like pathway to become successful is to go to college. But what happens is that, what I tell people a lot of times is that just because you get the degree doesn't mean that you're going to be put in the place of the career that you want.
Right.
So where was it that you gained that confidence, like nothing's going to stop me from becoming who you are right now?
Gosh, that's a great question. Ooh, that's a great question. I think most of my motivation, though, even that, just seeing how people of color are treated and wanting to help. Because growing up, as I said before, I grew up in Worcester, Ohio. There weren't many people of color coming up in the 70s and 80s. At one point, my brother and I were the only black children at our grade school.
Whoa.
So we call Amish, country, et cetera. And some of the people had never seen black people before. So I didn't have a lot of representation except for what we would see on TV, or sometimes we would go to like Akron or Canton. They're a little bit, it's kind of like being in Westerville or, the little suburbs here.
Yeah.
We would see people of color, but not having that representation and having, I think I was in the 10th grade, I had this teacher. She was Caucasian, but she introduced me to history. A lot of African American history. I didn't get a lot of that at home, but she introduced me to, like, before the Mayflower, all the books and things. And so when I went to undergrad, my major was African American history, focusing on African culture. And I did a study abroad then in Nigeria, but then my minor was psychology. So not until almost 20 years later, almost, after that, I decided to pursue my master's, because that was always a dream to be a therapist. And hopefully I'll go on to get a PhD. But at any rate, education's always been important to me. And just wanting to be better for myself so that I can be better to those around me who are my sphere of influence.
Yes, that's dope. I like that. I love that answer. You're going to get that PhD. Put it in the ether. It's on the way.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. It's on the way. It's on the way. God darn it. We're going to do great things in the future. And we got to bring that up, man, more. You know what I'm saying? Go get it. Like motivate each other. Hold each other accountable for successful things, and what you deem successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did this. I was going to ask you, growing up, and it's only you and your brother. This is kind of off script. Just you and your brother in a town where you're the only two black children, probably the only black family at times. Did that affect you at all? Like, in a sense of, like... Yeah,
sure,
like...
for sure.
like...
It was hard because, growing up, they'd say all these slurs to me and my brother, and I'd go home and my mom would say, "Oh, it's okay, tell me you like chocolate bars," or something. They'd call me all the something about chocolate. But it was rough because then identifying, not necessarily with people that look like me, because my friends weren't like me. So it wasn't until I moved to Columbus, my junior year in high school, that I began to be around people of color. And that was still hard because then they'd say, "Oh, you act too white," or "You dress white," et cetera. So I had to fight that. And then the whites were like, "I don't know," that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was hard initially. It was hard trying to adjust being around people of color all the time versus I was never used to that.
Yeah.
And then going to college, that's where I really dove into like my history and began to believe, or actually love myself.
Yeah.
So not into my 20s that I really appreciate and love myself, that it's okay. We come in all shapes and sizes and colors, and we're beautiful, we're intelligent, we're extremely strong, all the things.
Yes, that's beautiful.
So this is my last question for you. And I thought about this very hard. Very hard. What's the harshest piece of feedback you've received in your field?
Harshest piece of feedback I received from my field.
If any.
Yeah, if any.
This is such a beautiful field to help so many people, I don't think. You know.
Well, maybe not harsh, but it can be so traumatic at times because you're listening, vicarious trauma. You're listening to people and taking their stuff on. As we discussed earlier, try to detox or get away from it afterwards. But it's a lot to carry sometimes. It's a lot to carry. You have your own stuff, so people don't realize you're a person. You have your own trauma, et cetera, or mental health, et cetera. But then you have to go or you listen to people. And or people come and they think that you're supposed to tell them what to do. We don't tell you what to do. We come walk alongside you. And usually most people know what to do, what it is. It's just they need someone, a safe environment to talk and to get things out, to kind of organize their thoughts. But just be there supportive and maybe advice here and there, but to really just be an ear and give them resources, help give them resources that normally they wouldn't know, like maybe, for example, like some breathing techniques or something, or meditation, or they're talking before, like color and painting, giving them some options and helping them to find some self-care.
Yeah. That's big.
Was it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, good question, bro. Good question.
I got one more, but I want to see what your next question is. Because before I segue, I do have...
Wait, can I tap in? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know I'm over here. You can't see me anymore, pod, but I'm in the corner again. But
time out.
Yeah, but you spoke on your childhood,
Yes.
Growing up. Like you said, I know you can't see me. Well, you spoke about your childhood, basically not growing up around, I guess, quote unquote, your people. So basically, like in adulthood, at least for me, I think at some point, childhood and adulthood kind of intersects. So when it does, I mean, if there is trauma with your childhood, how do you go forward dealing with that as an adult? I mean, you still have to do your day-to-day, go to work. If you have kids, you have to deal with that. So what are steps would you give people to handle that trauma or that childhood baggage that they might have?
Excellent. Woohoo, I like that one. That's good. That's good. Because that's similar, like we all have our things, but not just for someone with trauma, but finding a person or someone that you can actually talk to. That's usually the first. And if you don't, journal. And if you're not a writer, because a lot of people they say, oh, I don't want to journal, I don't have time. Get your phone. Our phones, you can talk into it, voice record. I do that while I'm walking my dog. I'm getting the day out. I'm recording stuff. I'm talking it out. So you got to get it out of you, because otherwise it just stays and it creates that what have you. So I encourage people to find someone trusted that you can talk with. If not, and or journal. Use a voice record. And also we have so much, tools available, if I can say that, tools available. So someone with trauma, as I mentioned before, EMDR is a tool to help people think about their trauma, talk about their trauma, and heal from it. So each time they may have that thought or flashback, it doesn't hit them as hard as it did initially. So there's definitely a lot of tools out to help individuals. And we live in an information age, so you can watch a TikTok, you can YouTube it, what have you, and get help that way as well.
Okay. All right, my boy Steph.
Did I answer your question?
No, you did.
Okay.
Cuanto
Okay, thank you.
Good question, Nadio.
But you know what? I wanted to add that too. So even that, learning to forgive, that's a big thing too. So when I think of childhood trauma, and sometimes those individuals are no longer living, or they are, and sometimes people know what happened, what was going on, but they act as if it didn't. But learning first and foremost is you'll never forget, but forgive, learning to forgive and move on, because that stuff can just hold you. Stop you from doing so much in life. It's kind of like how crying, do your brothers cry? Sometimes it's freeing, right?
Yeah,
when you cry, you feel so much better. It's kind of like talking, get it out. You feel so much better.
Yeah. And
That's
to
one
your
thing.
point, my bad. Forgiveness that's a hard thing. But at least for me, what I've been learning over the years, especially dealing with like parents, is you have to give your parents like a certain amount of grace. For me, I'm an only child, so there wasn't, the first kid is like the test trial. I was a test trial
For 18 years.
forever. So I'm just now realizing I should give my mom, my dad, like a certain amount of grace. I mean, maybe she didn't know exactly what she was doing. My mom, she was still in college. She was, 26 when she had me, doing her master's, bachelor's, whatever. So I think a lot of people, like you said, forgiveness is a hard thing. But when you can do it, I feel like it's like a weight that it just comes off of you. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, but it's just something changes once you do it.
I have a testament to that because I definitely had those conversations last year with both of my parents, and I actually I forgave myself for holding on to that stuff for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't think it bothers you. You're really a ticking time bomb. Mm-hmm. People receive a different energy from you that they never deserve. You know what I'm saying? Because you never worked out what's going on with you. You know, you rather someone love you, but you don't even know how to love yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that forgiveness for yourself and those around you, you think they're supposed to do something, man, love on everybody and love yourself. I tell you that. That's my advice to the ether. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't had no questions, brother.
Okay. So
we testimonies.
Alley-oop.
Church music, where's it at?
Hey, well done, Steph. I like that. Appreciate it. I didn't know if you was going to speak, but, you chose to speak, you know?
The brother to the night.
So I know I said that was my last question, but this is really my last question. But real talk. But what I was going to ask is that what are your thoughts on young black men being the leading candidates of the suicide rate? Because I noticed that they say young black men are at the top, and like there's not another group of people that are close to that suicide rate.
That's a good question. Awareness. We need more forums and outlets to reach the young people where they're at, the young men where they're at, because as you said, it is the highest amount, and we don't have, and they don't have a lot of therapists that look like them, people that look like them. So it's again having these events, these type of things, in a way, focusing on maybe black mental health, males, etc. Yeah. Having group sessions, forums, so that they can come together and again just eradicate that stigma. Because black men, they don't cry. They talk like, don't cry, you're weak. Go ahead, you don't talk to anyone. All of the things we just need to stop. What do you call it? If I can say, turn those things around.
Definitely, I feel that. Cause if
you have any influence on any young man, speak with them.
Yeah,
let them know that you're there.
Yeah, I got a lot of
speak their language.
Yeah, my mentees, I like to be transparent, man. I'm like, bro, I know exactly what you're going through.
They're waiting to talk.
I've been through that, and I've blossoming. They're just growing up. They're growing up quick, but they're looking for help. Like they try. Like a lot of people say, like, oh, the youth they're one way. Like, man, if you can watch if somebody run into a wall with their eyes closed, and you can tell them, hey, man, open your eyes, the door right there. Why would you not? You know what I'm saying?
I just got that visual though.
Yeah, bang, go that way, son. Open your eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Like, oh, thanks.
Because I did that a couple times. I'm gonna tell you, I had a couple knots on my head. I'm gonna give you this way. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. To always be a vessel, man.
They don't know what they don't know. Yeah.
That's right.
Now, so with it being season 2, we brainstormed different things for our viewers as well as our guests to be entertained with. So this is about 10 minutes, and then we'll do our closing segment. But we have questions for you where it's just more so we say things, you give us a response, and we're gonna go from there. So my first one happens to be Queen Latifah or Jada Pinkett.
Queen Latifah. Ladies first.
Right.
Okay. What you got for her?
If it's one of those.
By the way, did you see her at the NAACP Awards last night? She was on.
I did not catch that last
over here,
night.
He says yes. Beautiful, right? Oh, I'm in the fashion.
That.
Her dress was amazing.
Who, Queen Latifah?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Queen is like
Queen.
that. UNITY. That's my joint.
MC Light.
What? Who you calling him? Yeah. So
Monetization.
fashion, huh? Dapper Dan or Kanye?
Dapper Dan. Well dressed man. Yeah.
Dapper. Anytime you're first dapper,
He got it all together. It's
Dog,
on
what?
point.
I was about to do a moment and say who is, but I kept that inside. I didn't want to be dogged.
you didn't want to. Yeah.
I didn't want to be dogged.
I wish to light you up right now.
Yeah,
Dapper
I know
Dan
who
is.
Dapper Dan is.
Look. I know I spent all season 1 hating on Ye, but in 25, man, I gotta go with Ye.
I'm not trying to hear none of that. Y'all talking
Yeah,
about
I'm gonna
fashion.
just go
You
off
want to
it.
talk about
I'm gonna go off it.
fashion
Brought me to the
icon.
backpack era, the shades with the little tints on them. Like, come on now.
Dapper Dan. All right, Dapper Dan. So you all watch Paid in Full, right?
Yes.
Paid in Full. The whole wardrobe was created by Dapper Dan.
You
Like
think
Money Making Mitch and all them with the MCM and the Gucci, all that.
you think that was a hard wardrobe to come up with?
It's better than a shirt that you're gonna buy for $1,200 with hoes already in it.
I mean,
Kanye looked like
I mean, at that time, we got to think about the times. Like, we got to think about where
that was fly.
Yeah.
Oversized
Looking like a
shirts,
bum is never gonna be cool for me.
oversized white tee and a leather jacket. Bro, come on now.
That was never the look. You didn't watch Paid. You're 25. You haven't watched Paid in Full.
I saw some of it.
Some of it. Yeah, exactly. My point.
He said
You're
Twitter.
done.
TikTok.
You're done.
He saw the car
You're
seat.
done. You're done. You're done.
Okay, so check this out. When it comes to acting, Will Smith or Denzel Washington?
Really stole that one from me.
That's
just
easy.
now.
Denzel Washington.
Thank you.
Why?
Because he's been around for a long time. He's versatile. He's versatile. Yeah. I think which movie do I like best? So many.
It's so many, and that was
Many.
that was
Could
so
you pick
crazy.
two
So
to
Why
not
don't you
put
answer the
pressure
real
on
question,
one?
Mo?
I was you already read my mind. Yeah, I already know.
this is hard. I don't know. I can't just say just one.
Yeah,
I
man,
guess
that's like at least a top 5, and it's like holding on.
Oh, because I like him as a human being in general.
Yeah.
Like outside of, he's just straightforward. He's good. He's good.
I'm leaving here with something.
I'll think of something.
I'm leaving here with something. I'm from on the way. I'm leaving with something.
I mean, can you see Denzel in Men in Black? I can't see it.
He turned it down.
Will Smith.
He did.
And,
Well, because
Did you hear that? He turned down Men in Black.
I didn't know that. Is that alleged or?
Do your research.
Okay.
Yeah. Will Smith's good, but hey,
So when have you seen Will Smith, or not Will Smith, Denzel do his last comedic role? Like, think of a comedic role for Denzel that he's done in his past.
Two Guns with Mark
Yeah, I'll
Wahlberg.
probably say Two Guns. Yeah.
Watched that earlier today. Well, yesterday. Excuse me.
Netflix.
John Q. That's what I'm thinking about.
That one, that brought me. I cried
Denzel.
watching that one
I think everybody should have.
because that little boy looked like my youngest brother, and I could see I know my dad would have did the same thing.
What's the famous line from John Q?
I just remember the scene where he
My
was
son's
crying.
not gonna let. What it was like? My son's not gonna.
I don't know that quote. Sorry.
My son's gonna bury me. There it is.
Paraphrasing.
I would have hit you with the Jake, Jake, back down, or Malcolm X. What are we talking about here? Play Malcolm X. What are we talking about right now?
I saw Malcolm X at a
I want you
later
to be
age
my
too.
everything. I want you to be everything.
Yeah, I didn't grow up watching
Malcolm
Malcolm
X.
X.
That's it.
What? To play Malcolm is fire.
It's an honor. He played it too.
What? And he did that thing. That's why Chadwick Boseman was just like that. Chadwick looked up to Denzel. Denzel just, I don't know a lot of people that's like, I'm trying to be like Will Smith. I'm just saying.
Okay.
that
Okay. I think I got it. Do you feel like Tom Cruise is an overrated actor? Because he felt.
I can tell you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I think Tom Cruise is the typical face for perfect white America. I think
Oh, for
Yes.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Nah, it's Tom Cruise. For American Pride, that's why they put him in all the military movies.
Oh, okay.
He caters to that audience, that 30, 40-year-old veteran. I'm just being honest. 30, 40-year-old veteran. They probably have a poster of Tom Cruise and Tom Brady on the wall or something. It's true.
Sweet.
And I also said if Tom Cruise wasn't an actor, he would be Tom Brady. If Tom Brady wasn't a football player, he would be Tom Cruise. Because they cater to the same audience. I kid you not. I personally think I think they're both overrated, but Tom Cruise is definitely overrated as an actor, in my opinion.
I mean, we just really started getting Tom Brady's voice in the last 4 to 5 years.
I bet if you look at the analytics, it's 30 to 40-year-old white men.
He's one
This
of those.
guy
He's
here.
one of those.
This guy here. Okay, I got a question for him.
Is he always like this? He's animated. So I'd have fun with you.
Today,
This is in
Junior?
session. I'd say, what's
We
going
grew-
on?
Yeah.
Yes.
We grew up together,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. Can you give me three books or a list of books that you would recommend people to the audience here or myself to read on self improvement to get our minds right, to think,
Okay.
to be able to open up. I did read a book by the name of Permission to Feel. I'm almost done with that book. I did the title, the fucking art. The author's name is Michael.
It's okay. It's just saying that you're not really reading the book right now.
I am.
And
I'm
you
in the
know-
process of moving. I'm
Yeah, it's
quarter
it's
through.
in the box.
But the name of the book is Permission to Feel. The gist of it is to allow yourself to feel the emotions in which you have. And there's nothing wrong with how you feel.
Now, I think it also should be books. For me, I don't read a lot, which I know I should. But maybe if there's a starter book, I'm not really an easy read. There's something that you could, for everyone, that could easily get into.
Dr. Seuss was
I
soothing.
was just about to say
I don't understand.
I was just about to say Dr. Seuss.
But I was going to say self-improvement.
Basically, he's asking, is there a book that you can give to the audience for those that want to start off their journey?
I'm pretty
on
sure I
self-help?
just said that. But I don't know.
You said it in a roundabout way.
No, I didn't. I actually got cut off twice. But hey, who's counting?
I am.
All right. Well, yes. A book or two that we can start off.
A variety, because that's a broad, somewhat question. Because we all are eclectic and we like different things. But as I said before, the book I'm reading right now, one of them is "The Great Migration" by Isabella Wilkerson. It's "The Warmth of Other Suns," and it brings in some history too, a little bit of Jesse Owens, Ray Charles, all of the people that were migrating. So they weave the story. And Viola Davis, I just "Finding Me."
Yeah, I heard that was a
Excellent.
bestseller and so, right?
I listened to it on Audible, and then I actually starting to read it. It's amazing. So when I think about self-help or just moving forward, her book, it's amazing. She came from nothing, literally, they were Poe.
Yeah, Poe. Yeah.
And how she is now, all that she's overcome, it's just amazing. Her book is, after listening to it, my thought was, we're our only worst enemy. There's no reason why we can't move, because she overcame so much. It's that drive.
Yeah.
If you have it, you can do anything, and she clearly shows that. So that's a really good book. That's a good book. Anything, we're kind of getting out of Black History Month, but anything by James Baldwin or Richard Wright. Richard Wright is amazing. I think a lot of men probably would resonate with his different books. Native Son, Black Boy, awesome. I get excited thinking about it. Great. And even Malcolm X. His autobiography is a great one. And then as far as tools, even so, Anxiety and Phobia Workbook. You can get that off of Amazon. It's a really great book. Just if you deal with anxiety and/or depression, it's a really great book as well.
And that's it's interesting. Like you were talking about Black History Month. we were talking in the barbershop because I feel like our community has been so programmed to pay attention to Black success and Black inventors and people that were pioneers of such. We only really pay attention to that in February. Where I had to I was watching an interview, I forgot who was in it, but it was Morgan Freeman. So Morgan Freeman was speaking to this Jewish guy, and I believe he was the Jewish guy he was interviewing him, and they got on the topic of Black History Month, where Morgan had asked him, like, with you being a Jew, would you want a Jewish History Month? Where the guy responded with no. And, his response was more so, well, why do you think that we want it? Right. Where it's like, even in an education standpoint, we knew that when it came to the end of January, you were doing a Black History project where you had to figure out who's a person that you like from Black history. Where if we really don't read a book or if we don't go on like Google, we only know about 5 to 10 Black history people, and those are more so of the people that they want us to know.
Rosa Parks.
Right.
MLK.
Yeah.
Right. And even when you think of Rosa Parks, we would think due to the education system that Rosa Parks was the first Black person or Black woman to not give up her seat.
And that wasn't the case.
When what they said was that Rosa Parks was someone that more so fit the picture.
The image.
Yeah, she wasn't violent. She was, she kept her mouth shut. She said so many words of just saying, I'm not getting up out of this seat. A lot of people don't even know about Malcolm X, where the image is he was a violent person, so why should we give praise? Where we even think about, you have people that, due to history, white history, there have been a lot of things that we use on a day-to-day that our community doesn't know that, that came from us. The stoplight, the lawnmower. Like, some people don't even know when we take a shower. Like, a lot of people don't even really know Madam C.J. Walker. Like, the hair. A lot of white women don't even recognize Madam C.J. Walker for being the reason why they have flow in their hair, and it's not hard and compact, and they don't have to use a hard wire brush to get it all straight and stuff. So, when we were talking about books, I love to tell people, like, now I'm not a historian of our people, and there are areas of the Black community of the information that I do need to improve on as well. But it's very important to take time out of your day, out of your month, out of your year to be inspired by people that came before us.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Even going a little bit further, thinking about Roots. I don't know if you all have ever seen Roots.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it because I saw it was
Kente?
4 hours, and I was like,
Till you do right by me.
But just even going back to history, slavery when we first came, and understanding that how we were dispersed, not just to the Americas, but Brazil, all around
absolutely.
The world, starting there, and then building up, working your way to, say, famous African Americans now, but really knowing where you came from. Our people are so resilient, extremely resilient. Had to learn a new language, like some new food, all the things, adjust to weather. We come from nothing, and we're amazing.
Right,
we're amazing.
that's right.
Yeah, and that's I feel like, because I know there's a listener out there, man or woman, that look like us, are African American or even African, people that really don't see the value within themselves. Where every day they need the words of confirmation from other individuals for them to believe in their own self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With just like understanding, like, I'm very special. God's given me this opportunity to have another 24.
Yeah.
Everyone does, we don't know who died last night, or, they say people die by seconds around the world, where it's like, if God gives you that breath, utilize that 24. Don't waste it.
Someday you the bug, someday you the windshield.
Splat.
Some days you the wiper.
Don't add on to none of that. He asked me a question. Don't add on to none of that.
I'm usually the deep one.
Don't add on to none of that. But I say that, we are American history, man. We are American history. It's built on everybody's back, but a lot of our backs, you know what I'm saying? So shed light on those around you, the ones before you, and the ones that's gonna come after you. You know what I'm saying? Transfer everything that you know. Love, beautiful energy. Like that, man. No man in many words, but y'all hit it on the nail on the head. I'll just say, I appreciate y'all. I'm inspired. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go give me an audio book.
Yeah, audiobooks are cool, bro.
They are, man.
Audiobooks are, great. Because a lot of people, that's the thing, like, a lot of people's attention span isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they say, even with this, YouTube, social media content, you have to grab the audience within the first 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the hardest thing. Like, that's why you see, like, the things when we look on social media, what are the things that go viral? Because if you really having a teaching moment with somebody, a lot of people don't want to be taught. Like, a lot of people are adults, and it's hard to change an adult's way of thinking. I deal with that on a day-to-day with myself as well as people I encounter, because a lot of our way of thinking comes from our foundation. We spend about 18, 17 years, and then even if we go to college, we may be out by like 22 or 23. But it's hard for us to just shift. And then for you being a therapist, I could see how sometimes when you have more over here of the foundation, and you could be so messed up, and then there's a therapist that offers the help, but you're like, well, it sounds good, but I'm coming from 18 to 22 years of this stuff. What could be something that you could what could be something that you could give me for me to unload all that out of my backpack?
Just walk beside you. It's nothing I can necessarily get. You have to be open and willing. And my job is there when you're open and willing is to come beside you and be an ear for you and help hopefully give you the tools in order to move forward. I know you're saying like the audiobooks are good because some people don't have the attention span to read. I'd even suggest even setting your alarm on your phone. Read for 10 minutes. Set the alarm. Say, okay, I'm going to read this book or listen for 10 minutes. And then when it goes off, you go about your day. That's a part of practicing self-care and self-love is like, I'm going to take this time because I want to get through this book, but I don't really have time. My day's busy, but I'm going to set aside 5 or 10 minutes. And then it'll become a habit over time. It takes 21 days to create a habit. So just start small. You don't have to be grandiose. I'm going to spend half an hour reading. Like, really? Are you really going to spend half an hour? Is 10 minutes more?
Discipline and consistency, man.
Absolutely.
You can't be disciplined, be consistent.
Well, we told you we wouldn't have you for a long time, and we do appreciate you coming out.
Yes,
we would
definitely.
love to have you for a part 2, maybe an episode strictly about mental health, and maybe for our viewers that have questions for you for the next time you come in, we could talk about that because some people think like, oh, it's so hard for me to have get a therapist or get help because I may not have insurance. I don't know where to look at. You also mentioned the ED.
Oh, EMDR.
Yes. So for you guys listening, that will be in the description below, where there will be some helpful links for you guys if you're interested in finding a therapist, a counselor, or just as she said, someone to talk to. So we do definitely appreciate you, Miss Price, for coming out. Price, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And also,
I just
can
getting
you
that
tell the viewers and the listeners where they can, contact you and the services that you provide?
Veronica Price. I'm at Key Counseling in consultation, or you can contact me at v.price@keycounseling.org or v.price2@yahoo.com.
You ain't got no social media? You ain't no social media?
No, I'm old school. No. I need someone to bring me into the 21st century.
Okay.
One more thing, no social media, but is there like any organizations that you might be a part of for like any young people who want to get into counseling?
Oh, that's a great question. Unfortunately, I'm not like with boys and girls clubs, etc. But I'm always willing, if you send me an email, I'm willing to have a 15-minute consultation and talk with you and or give you some resources. But Central Ohio has a lot. Central Ohio has a lot of resources. Mental Health of America, the Adams Board of Ohio has some resources as well.
Okay. Well,
And don't
one more
worry,
time.
guys.
One more time. That email, everybody. Get the email one more time.
vprice, the number 2, at yahoo.com. And if you're really, really serious, you can call me at the office at 614-478-3050, extension 705.
You better go do that. Because I am not a therapist. Could call me about what you got going on site now. I am a vessel. I love you all.
I'm doing God's work.
No, real talk. And if you're not busy, I actually have a show this evening with my band, Harmonic Soul Band, on all social medias at Adela's. Soulful Sunday. We're going to rock out. You know what I'm saying? It was a pleasure speaking to you,
Thank you for
Ms.
having me.
Price. Yes. We hope to see you back.